Tell your story.
Change the conversation.
Organized by students.
TEDx Youth at SHC.
So I am a volleyball coach. And if anyone here has ever been to a volleyball tournament, you might know this already. But if you haven't, they are loud. Very, very loud. You can be in a convention center, a giant hall with anywhere between like 20 to 100 courts with whistles blowing left and right. You have the noise of a volleyball game going on, and you've got the cheering that goes along with those volleyball games. It is an extremely loud environment to the point where people even bring earplugs to it. So picture me and during my game trying to coach my players, and the player on the furthest side of the court from me, with all the whistles, all the cheers blaring around in the background, I'm trying to get my players' attention to give them some feedback. But it's loud. I'm already screaming at the top of my lungs to even get their attention. And then once I do, it's so hard to communicate that feedback to them. I'm mouthing these words as clearly as I can with just to get a confused, like, what are you saying to me, coach? Response back. So this makes me think, how can I better communicate with my team during these moments? How can I make that communication easier? I'm also a teacher here. I teach freshman ASL, American Sign Language, here at Sacred Heart Cathedral. And every single year, one of the most consistent things that I hear as something that surprises my students when they first come to my class is that ASL is not just a signed version of how we speak in English. It's got its own unique structure. The syntax is similar, but also very different from how we would structure a sentence when we're speaking in English. And one of the reasons why is because information can be portrayed in so many different ways when you're signing in ASL. And one of those examples is something that we call classifiers. And essentially what that is it's a way of describing an object, the shape, the size, where it is in reference to location to another thing, maybe how it moves. You can really describe anything using classifiers. And so when you structure your sentences, you have to adapt to that. But one of the things that I love about ASL so much is that you can be so descriptive. And one of my favorite examples comes from a movie called Coda. And if you haven't seen that movie, it's about a deaf family who has a hearing daughter who loves to sing. And she joins the school choir. And one of the things her teacher asks her is, how do you feel when you're standing up on stage singing to people? And she can't put it into words. She can't quite describe that feeling that she feels standing up on stage and performing. So then the teacher asks her, well, what if you sign it? How would you sign that experience? And she does something along the lines of this. She's describing a feeling in her stomach, whether it's butterflies, knots, something, and it just going away. Like that feeling of freedom, that feeling of release. And then this is her, floating up in the clouds, maybe feeling like she's on air. And with just 3 very simple movements, she's able to convey so much information. That feeling that you can't quite put into words, but we probably have all experienced at one point in our lives. And that is one of the things, the performative, descriptive aspect of American Sign Language is one of the reasons why I love ASL so much. It's a beautiful, complex, and interesting language. And I think everyone should know at least some ASL. We don't all need to be fluent, but some basic sign language, I think, is just an amazing skill to have. And so many people learn sign language at one point in their lives. A lot of parents, many doctors recommend teaching sign language to your young children before they're able to speak. Motor skills can develop earlier than our verbal skills. And sign language has been shown to show so many benefits in young children, like early communication, being able to advocate their wants and their needs to their parents before they can speak. And along with that, it comes a bonding experience. The parental-child bond also increases through that communication. Not only that, it's also been linked to accelerated language development. So even their verbal language skills are accelerated. And it's also been linked to enhanced cognitive development, with specific skills such as learning and working memory and problem-solving skills, which are all so critical to our development. So we know all of these things. We know that sign language, to teach it to babies, is so beneficial for their growth and their development. So why do we ever stop? What would happen if we just continued to teach sign language, even after they've acquired some verbal skills? What would happen if we continued that education throughout their childhood? And interestingly enough, they've done a study on this in Italy. And now all countries have a different version of sign language, so this isn't ASL. But they did a study where they took 3 different groups of students in their first 2 years of education. One group learned Italian Sign Language as their second language in school. One group learned English as their second language. And another group had no second language. And over these 2 years, they did a test at the beginning and the end of the year. And at the end, the results showed that the students in the group who learned Italian Sign Language as their second language scored higher on all of these cognitive tests that they gave these students. In just 2 short years, there was already shown some cognitive developmental growth in these students who got a sign language as their second language in schools. And 2 years, by the way, is the reference for about how long it takes you to become conversationally fluent in any language, assuming that you practice. And in just 2 years, with these young children, it showed developments in their cognitive abilities. And I think it has so many more benefits than that too. For me, ASL has always benefited my life in so many different ways that I would have never expected when I first learned to sign. At lunch, or if you're sharing a meal with people, I'm sure a lot of people have experienced when you put a big forkful, spoonful of something in your mouth and somebody immediately asks you a question. And you have to go through that trying to communicate your answer, trying not to be rude and talking with your mouth full. And for me, when I am eating lunch with my coworker here, when he asks me a question, I don't have to worry about that. I can just freely converse, eat my lunch, enjoy my entire meal, and still get to have that communication, still have that social component of enjoying a meal with somebody. Or being able to communicate with somebody from across the street. Being able to just check in with my coworkers, with my students that I see. Hey, how's your day going? And I can just sign, how are you? From across the street. And then they can respond, and I can do a quick check-in with people in my life without having to go out of our way to be like, oh, I'll meet you over there, or anything like that. I just a few weeks ago was subbing a class. I was subbing in a French classroom, which just so happened to be right next to the American Sign Language class. And my coworker, our doors lined up, our desks, we could see each other. And we had to have a meeting after school. We had to check in about just a few things. But we were able to stay in our respective classrooms at the very end of class, and we just signed to each other. We checked in about the few things we had to check in about, and it saved me a meeting after school. And after a long day of work, it's always good to not have that meeting that you had planned at the end of the day. On the volleyball court, sometimes I have my students who take my class, sometimes I don't. But one of the great things about sign language, which was something I never expected to happen, I saw it as just a tool for communication. But it does so much more than that. For me and my teams, it's been a bonding experience. It's added community and culture to my team. Just last year, I had a team, and the lingo on the street with all of my teenagers, all of my freshmen last year, was that you're cooking when you're doing something good. You're cooking, you're not cooking. That's how they expressed what was good, what was not good. And this is the sign for cook. And so I taught my team, you're cooking. And whenever they would do something good, I would sign you're cooking. And it became our team thing. So anytime anyone did something good on the court, the entire team was just cooking. And it was so much fun. It was something we could all come together and bond on. It was also made the other teams curious. They were like, what are they doing? It was a celebration that was only for us. It wasn't one of those rehearsed cheers. It was something that meant something to all of us and brought us together, and that they loved to do together. It brought us together. It brought us even closer. And it has nothing to do with volleyball. But just having that access to that form of communication helped my team come together and be a better volleyball team. On the court, when my players are far away, being able to communicate with them, even if they don't know a lot of sign, even if they're first-year students, even if I just taught them some basic signs, It's helped me out in my coaching as well. Just yesterday, I was at a tournament with my boys' volleyball team. And one of my players, he's one of my students as well. And he was going up to hit the ball, and he was leaving early every single time. And he seemed frustrated. Like, you could tell that he was like, why can't I hit this ball over the net? And so I got his attention. I simply signed, "You're early, you have to wait." And he was like, "I got it, I understand." And from all the way across the court with all the whistles blowing and everything, I was able to convey that information so easily, so effectively. And it made his play better. And I didn't lose my voice at the end of the day. I can still stand up here and talk to you guys without having a sore throat from yelling at my volleyball tournament, trying to coach my boys in a loud environment. And even as a teacher, a lot of teachers experience the same thing, but there's teacher burnout at the end of a day. You're constantly interacting with people. You're listening, you're talking, you're engaging with people. And so at the end of a very long teaching day, sometimes we're just burnt out. You can't listen to something else. You can't talk to anybody new. You just want to sit there and do nothing. I can't take any more stimuli, any more auditory stimuli. I can't really truly hear anybody. But what I found is something about the visual component of ASL is that when on a long day, I can barely talk to my other coworkers, I can barely check in. When I sign with my coworker who's deaf, it doesn't feel the same. Something about the visual language, something that's different than that auditory stimulus that was coming in all day, being able to receive the information in a different way, it just feels different. I'm not burnt out from that. And so after a long, hard day, I still can have that social component. I can still communicate. I can still have somebody uplift me without me still feeling exhausted. It's made my life better. I think there's so many benefits to learning American Sign Language that I never thought of, that have nothing to do with it just being a form of communication. I never realized how many different aspects of my life it could affect. So let's teach it in schools. Let's make sure that everyone has access to this education. Let's make sure that if you're choosing a second language, it's something that's different and unique and fun and beautiful. I think that if we introduce ASL as a second language in schools, we can encourage our young students to thrive in so many different aspects of their life, socially, cognitively, while we're all building a more inclusive community together through sign language. And before I leave you all today, since I'm up here talking about why we should all learn sign, I hope you can all learn some sign with me today. So I'm going to teach you 2 different signs before I head out. The first one is thank you, because I think we should always be thanking everyone. I believe in gratitude. So thank you, you're going to have a closed palm. You're going to come out from your chin and just out. You can even do it with 2 hands if you want to be extra thankful. So thank you, try it with me, just from your chin and out. Thank you. And the other one, because we love to be in a supportive community, we love love, I'm going to teach you how to sign I love you, which I think is a very fun sign too. So if anybody has ever seen the ASL alphabet, this is the letter I, this is the letter L, and this is the letter Y. And so I love you is just one simple handshake to convey all that love, and you put it all together. You have your thumb out, you have your index finger up, and you have your pinky up. And this means I love you, which I use all the time in my life. So thank you so much for listening, and I love you. Thank you.